Hello. So this is just a webinar for people from the hackathon to ask questions. I don't know if they are going to have questions, and it's kind of soon as well in many places yet. I received a few questions in private during the week and also on GatherTown. But if you think just GX is here, I'm not sure if you have questions, GX. If you have, you feel free to ask. You can ask on Zoom chat or in the Impact website. We're going to wait for a few minutes, and if nobody has questions, we can finish this section. Okay. GX has no questions, so far we don't have questions. At least 3 teams asked questions for me yesterday. So, and in general, I think the teams are going well. So maybe they don't have any blockers or major problems at the moment. Matthew also just joined us. If you have questions, feel free to ask Matthew. You can ask on Zoom or you can ask on the Impact website. Jax is asking how is the overall experience with this hackathon. It has been good in general. People are really doing a lot of work in the repos, but I think the part that is hard, as this is a virtual hackathon, is that you can't go to the rooms and talk to people. So we try to simulate this experience with GatherTown, but I think it didn't work as expected because people are just focusing coding. So they are not hanging on GatherTown because they want to code and they don't want to talk. But if you are in an actual place, an actual location, we could go in the room and then people don't have a choice. We are going to talk to people when you want to talk to people. So I think that's a challenge that maybe we need to improve for the next version, or we could have local hackathons. That is better, and I think COVID will be better next year. So maybe that would be a better option to have a few local hackathons in specific cities where we have people. Hello, Rafa. We are here just waiting for questions. So if you have a question, feel free to ask. You can also ask a question about the demo that we need to present. Like if you have any questions or if you have concerns, like should I present like this or should it be different? What I should focus? Like one team asked a few questions about this yesterday on GatherTown for me. So feel free to also ask questions about the presentation. Go ahead, Rafa.
Yeah, hi Filipe. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Cool. I would like to share my screen and show you some things. Okay.
Go ahead.
It's a question totally about my project. So I don't know if there is someone else that has more short question. My question will be a long one.
Yeah, go ahead. I think people don't have questions. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay, let me close other things and I will share my screen. Just 1 second. Okay, I'm sharing screen. No, I cannot share my screen. How do I do that?
Let me try to convert you to a panelist. So I think you're going to share your screen. Can you try now? Can you try?
Yeah. Sure. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, I do.
Cool. It's a Meteor admin. I will show you what it's about. By default, you get the list of users. Why is not working right now? Because I need to be admin. Okay. And list. Okay. By default, you will get only the list of users and you will be able to create one, etc., etc. And only the roles is all what you get. And the interesting thing, I will stash everything so I can start from zero. Stash. Okay. Okay, this is what you get by default. And the interesting thing is that you can create new models very easy, and you will get a lot of things with that. Node, scaffolding, main scaffold. This will create the cars that is the default one. Okay. So I can here and you get here in a second. It is loading. Okay. List of cars. It's using an already used database. So I create a car. Just a few examples of type of input that you can get, date, Boolean, etc., etc. And you can even get a foreign key or references to existing tables. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. The issue is that this is a full project that you need to clone and download, okay? And you mentioned in the previous meeting when I showed it, you mentioned if it will be a package or not. I would like to make it a package, but it's very complicated to do so because it changes a lot of things when I create the cars, each model. I would like to show you what is changed. So
Okay.
first of this is a router, okay, and I add the route to the directory or to the file. Then I create the create, edit, list, and files, okay. And also I change things in the menu here, okay?
Yep.
The sidebar. So I don't know if creating a package will be great because it will be more easy to use, but it will be more difficult because I don't know the package owner what will be the router, not the package owner, the package user. What will be the router that project is using? I don't know. I depend on Bootstrap. I guess dependencies can be put in the package, but I mean I put all things here in the imports models and then the model that I am using. So I don't know how to make that something that is like non-project dependent. Do
Yeah, I
you
think
mean?
the first thing that I believe that you need to change is that you need to, instead of generating the files, you need to store everything in the database. So then you can load from the database, and everything that is static right now, you could transform in dynamic. Like you would create the schemas on the fly when the app is booting up. You could also, for example, provide like a root component for React, a root component for Blaze with like flow router. So when people like, and you have the instructions there, okay, you want to use this package, you just need to import this specific like React package in this specific point. So you can add new routes to your router. Like if you use switch from React router, you need to include like this one. And then everything would be dynamically like loading from the database, you know? So you need to get all this data from the database so you can render the app, like the side menu, like everything needs to be somehow dynamically, because otherwise, like you can also develop like a build package, like a plugin package, but this package is like it can generate files, but I think it's more complex. Like I don't think we want to go in this direction. I think it needs, if you want to have like a generator, I think it would be better in the database. And also in the database, it's easier for you to apply migrations. Like if in the next version of your package, you change the way that you handle like strings, and if everything is just configurations in the database, you can just apply a migration in the database. So people are not going to even see that you are changing. And also you're not going to cause like a lot of code change all the time. So maybe a package I would do like this. Like, I don't know exactly how, I think Vulkan.js is doing more like you are doing. I think Vulkan is generating the files, but I would go more in the database if I was creating this project.
Okay, but what will you put in the database? Like the, I don't know, the TS6, or will be a very generic TS6 that will take the data from the database and run it? Because
Yeah,
if
your package will have the code, but the code will be a generic code. Instead of generating the code to a specific collection, you are going to have a generic code that can handle any collection loading from the database, the collection itself.
okay, and if the user want to change it, will need to change. Okay, I need to think if, because
Yeah, if you want, like, if the user can customize the code, we could
yeah,
also because that's the problem with generators. Like when you want to customize, it's usually a big problem, or you are going to lose like all the upgrades from the version later. So ideally, like your package should be able to handle like some custom code. So maybe people could register, like I want to override this form, I want to override this column. So you could provide like new components and you could render these components. But I would not generate the components like in a text file so people can edit it because it's impossible to upgrade later. Like if you, like one example of customization, I think could be like, oh, a custom field. So we could provide this like custom field option. So they could import this as a custom field in your package knows how to handle custom fields, you know?
Yeah, the problem with that, the user will need to learn a new framework, a new whatever. I mean, this way, with generators, the user just came here and edit the TSX files or whatever, and even can, if the final user or the developer wants to change every TSX, can come here and modify the template. Okay, and have it. You're right that upgrades will be a problem in that case. But I'm thinking this more for the developer that, and I think that having a more free usage or more availability to change everything will be better for the final developer. That's my
Yeah,
point.
maybe you should go like create React app where you have the eject command. Like if you are not customizing everything, like if you want to use the defaults, you just use the database. And then if they want to eject, do you know like the command from React create React app that's called eject?
Yeah, I know it.
Yeah, because when you generate all the files, so like it's really hard to keep this working in the long term. So if they want to eject, okay, like they scaffolding like a lot of like collections and then they just eject. Or you could even try to create like the idea of ejecting by collection. So they don't need to eject for everything, but if they need to eject a specific collection that is very complex, they could eject just these specific collections. Maybe that would be like a mid-term because like it's a trade-off, right? If you put everything in the database, like the user doesn't have this freedom to just change a file. But if you produce files for everything, they also have a lot of pain to upgrade all the files if they need to change something. So maybe like a mid-term would be like to eject a few files and not eject everything. But I'm
Yeah.
not sure. I don't know if Rena has some idea. I don't know if Rena is here. Are you here, Rena?
Yeah, I am. No, I think I agree with you that there's a trade-off there. And at least on Rails, there's a rake command that scaffolds anything. And there's also the update on rake if you update it. But yeah, it's really hard to keep it updated.
Yeah, I remember Django. The also has you can have it all on memory like magic that you don't know what the template is, or you can write the template to the disk and yeah, maybe that the eject for some of the models or some of the files, it's a good option. And can you repeat how you will solve the roots or the issue that I need to add things in the router?
The like with Flow Router, if I remember correctly, it's very easy because you just call a code to add a new router. But like usually like React router, you have a block and then you need to have your router inside this block. So your
Yeah,
pack you would expose like a component like Mongo routes, and then when the user needs to include like if you can go to your routes file that you showed us a little bit before. What is your route file?
let's see. UI admin. This one. Yeah, Like I will need the user to add this to his root file.
Yes, exactly. So they would like have Mongo routes, and then he needs to import these Mongo routes in his switch case if they are using switch, and then we could, yeah, that would be instead of adding the lines there, like the component itself is going to get the information from the database and it's going to add the routes. And if you can go, you can even go forward with this, and like Renan already create a package that you can inject some data in the initial HTML. I don't know if you remember like fast render, but you have like a way with a package that Renan created where you can load collection data in your initial HTML. So in your first get, you already get the data. So maybe instead of like having a publication to get the data, you could just get all the data from the routes in the first HTML. So it's really fast. You don't need to wait like a subscription and then the result of the subscription. It's just like it would be an optimization to not re-render the routes like using a subscription, because I think you want the routes to be ready as soon as possible. Otherwise, you could have like an error like, oh, this page does not exist. And then later you have the page because the route is just going to be rendered later. So we could do all this, a lot of optimizations. And you could even like, if the guy is not admin, you could not inject these routes. So the routes are not present at all if the user is not admin. So I could start to customize on top of this database configuration.
Okay. Okay, cool. I will think about it and see if I can improve for the next time.
Yeah, yeah. Renan and I, we worked for Pathpo for a few years. Like Pathpo is the platform that we are using, and on Pathpo platform, everything is a widget. So everything is dynamic, you know. So we have this kind of the same problems because like we don't know the routes, because the user can create a new page, the user can do whatever they want in the admin side, and then you just need to render everything in the app side on the fly because you don't know in advance. So we have experience with this kind of like generation. It's not the same kind of generation because in this case you want to generate for the developers, and on Pathball case you want to generate for the users. But it's kind of the same idea, like the same problems you need to solve as well. Like you need to have dynamic routes, you need to have like a way to load the database really fast because you want to render a first version of your app as soon as possible. So that's the way that I would go. But like the way that you are going is like also acceptable, but it's just a different approach. And the only trade-off is that for me, this approach is very hard to maintain in the long term. It's nice to start, but it's hard to maintain.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's an issue to maintain. Okay.
Yeah, but it's good because you are able to put a lot of things together in just a few days. That's nice. You are going to present your demo, right?
Yeah, I will.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Nice work.
Thank you very much. Okay, that's it. I will stop sharing.
Okay, thank you, Rafa.
Thank you very much, and I'm very happy Meteor is back and we are having hackathons and all that. I really love Meteor and happy to see it back. So thank you for all the effort. I will leave it so. Okay.
Okay.
See you later.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I think you can wrap up here, Kevin, because people are not, I think people are not even online right now. So we talk to people in the presentations, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Are you going to send the agenda for people? And if you do that, make sure that you say like the team should be available before the specified time, because like some people are going to be like really short.
Yeah.
So like they should be available like as soon as possible.
Okay, yeah. I posted a link already, but I'll mention that as well.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks. Bye.